Gurmaigad I can cóirle agus a tháinig sé teasagam go bhfuil muir an bhuamh go bhfuil uafas a dhéirí acu agus fad daoine fad na tíre ón ansaí an mhóthail a bhí ceithre bliana de íos agus éagsúil na bháile ón scáil an nuamh inné. Tar smuoite leis an gasar agus leis an teile ag an fonte seo agus teasagan na bhfuil éite bíon ar saithí don cíneal ansaí seo agus an buliart den sort seo a feicistegan. Tánaiste, as a parent of 4 boys, I think I, along with everybody else, was utterly disgusted and sickened to the core to see and hear the unprovoked attack on a young child, 14 years of age, as he was walking home from his school in Navan. And we can only send out our thoughts and our love to that child at this point in time and hope he makes a recovery, and our thoughts and our love to the family also as they're dealing with this trauma. I know that the people of Navan, indeed the people right across the country, are shocked and horrified by this incident, and I know that you'll join with me in condemning this attack and indeed the individuals involved. The young person involved has suffered serious physical injuries and no doubt psychological injuries as well. And it's every parent's worst nightmare that they would see their child bullied. It's every parent's worst nightmare that this type of incident would happen, this type of attack would happen, for their child to be physically assaulted for so many is just unimaginable. And for that matter, for their child to be involved in the perpetration of this type of assault. Tánaiste, there's no room in our society for this type of behaviour, for this type of violence, for this type of bullying, and I know the Gardaí are currently undertaking an investigation. My colleague, the TD for Meath West, Johnny Gork, has called on anybody with any information to bring that forward to the Gardaí so that this issue can be investigated properly and the perpetrators dealt with. And I want to echo his call this afternoon. It's also clear, Tánaiste, that there's a role for parents and there's a role for school communities across the island to educate our young people, to ensure that incidents like this never ever happen again, to ensure that our children are protected from all forms of bullying and all forms of violence. And I would urge people to heed the advice of the Gardaí and not to reshare this video online any further. I believe that the majority of people who have shared this content have done so not out of any malice intent, but to express their revulsion at the heinous attack on an innocent and defenceless young child. However, we know that sharing of such content can have devastating consequence and impact on the victim who has already suffered enough. And that wasn't the intent. Was it not the intent of those who took the video to actually do that? Tánaiste, there is a disturbing rise in young people orchestrating these attacks and filming them for public online consumption. Many have warned that this is leading to a rise in violence on our streets and indeed in our communities. It is clear that social media companies are not doing enough to root out this violent content from their platforms, and that was very clear over the last 24 hours. Isn't it the case, Tánaiste, that social media companies have a responsibility to ensure that this type of content is speedily removed from their platforms? At the start of this year, the government appointed the state's first online safety commissioner. Their role is to regulate online content to make our children safer online. And the shocking incident in Navan is surely an example of the type of content that should be removed from social media platforms. If you take a cursory glance at their website this morning, it shows that they haven't yet devised any online codes, nor are they able to deal with individual complaints relating to online safety. And I appreciate that they're new in the post, Tánaiste, but can I ask you, on behalf of everybody here who's very worried that this could be their son, their daughter next, when will we have this office up and running and that they will be able to remove immediately online content of this nature?
Thank you, Deputy Doherty. Tánaiste, please.
First of all, I must say I think the country is sickened and very disturbed by this shocking attack on this young boy. The random violent nature of it, the videoing of it and the posting of the video online. I haven't seen the video and didn't see it, but some who did have described it as stomach churning and quite shocking. And I agree with you that there is absolutely no place in our society for such violence. More broadly, there has been increased violence against our LGBTI community in the country, which is quite disturbing. I believe we collectively in this House and across the country condemn what has happened. We have to ensure that our response is multifaceted and multidisciplinary. By that I mean both within the general culture within society, and as you say, from a parental point of view, from a home-based point of view, we do need to rededicate ourselves to eliminating such violence, such a culture of intimidation, bullying and violence from our society. That's constant work that we have to work on every day, in every setting. The Department of Children, likewise, and there has to be a child-based response. The passing by this House of the hate crime bill is one such step. But also then, from the justice perspective, some very significant work has been undertaken by the Gardaí over the years, and more recently in terms of the youth diversion programme, and working with young people who get involved in unacceptable behaviour and activities with a view to trying to prevent them from going down the wrong path in a significant way. So there's a number of ways we have to approach this. Within education itself, the Canaltas programme was launched in December of 2022, which is an action plan on bullying. And that followed extensive consultation with the community at large, the school community, all members, parents, teachers, students. And it's founded on a rights-based approach, rooted in 4 key principles: prevention, support, oversight, and community, providing a very clear roadmap for the entire education community in terms of working together to prevent violent incidents such as this and bullying as a phenomenon within our society, within our community, and within our schools. And I think we have to focus on implementing such strategies on a consistent basis, well-resourced, to deal with these kind of issues. Many communities are doing that, many schools are doing that, but it is quite shocking what has transpired here, and that gives us an insight that notwithstanding all of the programs, notwithstanding all of the good behaviour, notwithstanding all of the mentoring that's taking place in different contexts, in youth clubs, in schools and in sporting clubs, this type of horrific incident occurs. In respect of the Commissioner, the online Commissioner, progress has been made on that. I don't have an exact timeline or date here for you this morning. And it will have very, very important work to do to prevent online violence, online bullying, that has become a phenomenon as well, as part of the social media world. The companies concerned have obligations. They work, I will endeavour to be balanced here, to remove harmful content from much of their platforms. But there has to be faster, a more rapid response to the posting of such videos and have them removed. Our thoughts today are with that young boy, with his parents, and with his family. The well-being of all our children and young people has to be uppermost in our mind. We send our support and solidarity to him and to his family from this House today.
Deputy Doherty.
Thank you, Taoiseach. I welcome your words, and I also agree with you that much work has been done by school communities, by different organisations through different programmes, and many of our schools are far more inclusive. But that sickening attack that many of us seen or heard about in Navan is a reminder to all of us that there is far more work to still be done. And that trend that is happening, and we see it not just in our island here, but in a neighbouring island, that trend of orchestrated attack for social media content is very, very real. Many of these social media operators are headquartered here. If I was the parent of that young child, I don't know how I would be able to deal with not able to go on social media without seeing your son being attacked in that vicious way. And it's not acceptable that these companies are allowing that content still to be on that platform today. So I'm asking you to send a very clear message to the social media operators that are headquartered here in this state that they should be removing that content, that they shouldn't have to wait for our online commissioner to get up and running with the codes, and that they should do the decent thing and help protecting, as we all need to do much more, making sure that our children are protected from further trauma in the aftermath of an attack like this. Thank you.
Thank you. Taoiseach.
Well, first of all, of course, in my view, it shouldn't have to wait for the online commissioner, nor does it have to wait for the online commissioner. The companies themselves should remove such videos immediately, once they go up. And that should be the position. And we've given that message to the social media platforms on a consistent basis. Indeed, they argue themselves that they do that, but the rapidity by which they do it at times has to be questioned. The impact that can have on, first of all, the individuals concerned who are the focus of the young person who's been attacked, can compound the damage done for that young person, and can have subsequent psychological impacts. And we hope that full resources will be made available to the family to enable that young person to recover from this attack. But there's no argument with your basic point. Such violent incidents should not be left on social media platforms 1 minute too late.
Deputy Patrick.